That should be it. Cool. All right. What we got going on here? I am recording it, man. Hope you're good. It's been a minute. And it will be a quick one anyway, like maybe 15 minutes or so. Yeah, I'll just wait to see who's popping in. Trading, keeping my workflow going. Yeah, well, you're a busy man anyway. We both know it. Glad that you're still head first into it. I never stopped. I never stopped. And actually, I've been trading less because of the automation side. I know it's a funny one because even end of last year, well, it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like an eternity in this laboratory, I'll tell you. But even end of last year, I'm like, no, never doing Signals app, never automating. It's up to you, you know. And yeah, because of all you guys, I'm like, okay, honestly, it's either now or never, right? Or it's now or you're too late, right? Because of the way that things are going. Um, yeah, you got to kind of think of how you can leverage technology, right? And I often will say to people that the progression of a trader in 2026 is manual trader if you just started, then semi-automated, so you have something that suggests for you. It does all your analysis for you, right? That's semi-automated to me, and then or semi-discretionary. Then from there, where do you go, right? Because if there's something that can be automated to that extent, who's to say you can't push the needle a little bit further, right? And have something that literally enters trades and exits trades for you. Now, that's a massive step forward from semi-automatic, semi-discretionary. It's a big leap, right? Because it's like owned SK asked today, he's like, what happened to NQ stack signals? And I'm like, why? He's like, why the change? Well, I said yesterday in the chat, look, I know I can trade very confidently stacks discretionarily, right? So manually. I have the confidence. I can turn up every day and know that I'm going to at least get one decent trade, like 4 out of 5 days a week, right? And it's always very, very clear to me um, where I should be waiting for to get in those trades. So it might be a stack, let's say Asia Open, stacks far away from price. There's an iceberg there, there's a shark food level just hovering above a stack. I see that as a place where activity will come into the market, right? And then I'm like, well, I'll just fucking wait for that because why the fuck am I going to trade in the middle of nowhere when I've seen it time and time again. Price is likely to drop there. Even if you think it's not going to, it does almost every time. And I'm like often equally just as surprised how far price can go before it actually gives you an entry worthwhile, right? So, uh, yeah, but then it's like, okay, but how do you automate that? We've got some cool tools in TradingView, right? Icebergs, shark food, stacks, whatever, the new trap traders talk, cool. But someone might be like, can't you combine all of that together to produce stacks, but with all of that awareness? I wish. I wish. Yeah, because stacks is so dense of a script already, you can't add anything else to it. And so this is why I said like the concept, the idea of doing that makes perfect sense to me. I wish I could do it, but TradingView caps what you can do. Um, like I can't pull in the shark food. Well, we have shark food in stacks. I can't pull in icebergs. I can't pull in um, like trapped traders or uh, traders that get released, right? Profitable traders riding back to their stops. I can't add that to stacks, which is a shame, sure, but um, yeah, when you're against these things, when you're fighting against these things, like the smart thing to do is to think of a solution. And often the solution isn't the easy path, is it? And so here I am pulling out all the resources that we have and what we've built in TradingView as best as we can, and then building our own system off board in our own server. And it's actually, it took about 3, 4 days, but it's worked out much better than I thought. And it's 4 days of solid grind, day and night. It's not so bad for for this kind of stuff. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to all of us. So um, I'm okay with a few hard days. It's okay. I will make that sacrifice. But yeah, let me just go through here. So you started with Evil Eye. I started with that. Yeah, it works, man. And it's a sacrifice to me, not to be like I'm not looking for sympathy or anything, but I am sacrificing my own time to trade manually, and my own my own time, right? And I'm sacrificing the money that we're getting from Evil AI is going straight into development. Um, and there's not actually a day I wake up where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I wake up with such a ferocious appetite to do this. So, we've made a lot of progress recently, and I appreciate everyone's patience while I'm doing it. But we got to think, I only really started doing the Signals app in February, so it hasn't been that long. It feels like an eternity waiting, right? But yeah, like you said, the tools still work manually, and you got many people still trading the tools manually. Well, that was the original offering anyway. It was just the suite of tools, right? Um, and it's ended up expanding a lot more. Anyway, I'll get into the app. Um, so you'll notice you should be able to see my screen. If you can't, I'm recording it anyway. But you'll notice it's cleaned up a bit, right? So uh, is this going to draw for me? Let me bring up, show the brush. You might not see the brush, but you'll see it in the recording. Okay, that's good. Or will you? No, you probably won't. Okay, forget the brush. Forget the brush. I'll quit it. All right, so I'll just hover my mouse. So it's not going to look exactly like this because there are no NQ signals on the dashboard at all at the moment, right? So these are just GC from the last few days, yeah. And this is with OTT off, right? You'll see all FlowStack NQ as they come in. Yeah, it's already wired up. Yeah, but there's just a little disclaimer saying, look, we haven't tested it live yet. So if you're going to hook up your webhooks or whatever, it should be to a demo account. But it's looking very, very promising, right? And it's not going to be a flood of signals like with stacks when they come through and you'd have to do one trade at a time, right? Notice OTT off, right? It's non-applicable to flow stacks. Why? Because they are concurrent They're concurrent signals, right? So yeah, they won't happen at the same time. Okay. Um, and yeah, what are the five signals based on? Well, auction market theory stuff, uh, some of my own observations, right? Through how stacks generate signals. So I actually pulled stacks out, created a Python version, and I tested against clusters of the stacks and all the levels in there. And so we just ended up pulling some of that stuff that was actually relevant and showed um, to to actually continue to work out of sample OOS. OOS basically, can you imagine, let's say something that worked in February, yeah? You take those five things that worked well in February and you then walk it forward tick by tick, right? As if it doesn't, it's point in time, right? Can you imagine a robot that arrives at the start of a month, right, with all this information, and it has to trade specifically what you found that worked in February, and you apply it to, say, June, right? And so in June, it has no awareness of future, right, outcomes. It can only base its actions on now, right? What it has information wise, data wise, prior to that day, right? You see where I'm going with this? So you walk it through as if it doesn't know anything in the future, only what it knows about the past, right? So that's a true out of sample back test walk forward, we call it, right? Which is point in time aware, right? And so it survived February, March, April, May, June until now. Yeah. And it was profitable every single month doing that. Yep. And look, people will be like, yeah, but what about year to year, right? Well, the more frequent your signals are, the more relevant it is to actually test maybe 6 months, right? 5, 6, 7 months, whatever, because the frequency of signals is going to be sort of more, if it's like a swing trading thing, you're going to be looking at like 15 years, right? Data is most relevant because we're dealing with the now, and because I've built a system on the back end to track degradation. So as things start to look sour, we can pick that up before it becomes a problem, in theory. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what out of sample means, if anyone didn't know it. And yeah, now we only see LBV 3.2 for GC, and then flow stacks, which are yet to come in with live signals. Um, and yeah, that's what you see there. Let me think. Yeah, and the next obvious move is to see what I can do with the GC signals now, right? The thing is, GC is profitable. You'll see in performance, but it could do with some recalibration as of the last month, right? It brought it down, and we'll see that in the performance section. Performance section. So there's only three sections now: dashboard, performance, and settings, because that's all you really need. Um, and cleaned up a lot of this stuff here. Yeah, so all you'll see is both long, short. So this is every signal. If you took every single signal, which you can't really with proper counts, right? Um, but that's the true tick walked two phase outcome. So TP1, stop to break even, either stop out break even or stop out the original stop, or it runs to the runner to TP2, you know, old style. And then long only, short only, right? and then gap. So if we go both, gap 10 min, right? So it's going to cut the trade count dramatically, of course. And so, yeah, it's kind of like what we've been dealing with. And this has definite room for improvement, but as it stands, it's making money, right? You can see. And the max drawdown period, it used to say it up here, but you can see the peaks and troughs anyway visually. Yeah, it's one of these things because people will be like, oh, but it's just going up. Like, yeah, but where in this cycle did you start trading, right? Because can you imagine if you started trading the signals as it was entering a drop? Yeah, so you want that to be more smooth, right? Most of the group probably trading 50K accounts, yeah, and so something like that drop would not allow you to survive, right? So yeah, it's about smoothing that out. Um, but yeah, that's sort of like work in progress. That's my next project, GC. And the thing is, I've got the framework now for the flow stacks for NQ. I can apply um, the same methodologies to GC. I'm not in research or building a way to research. I have the research to to work on for another asset, right? And the cool thing is I can apply that same method or the same methodologies to any trading pair, right? I'm not limited by uh, what we can do with TradingView. And it's all in Python, so it's so fast. It's between like 10 and 40 milliseconds to receive alerts, right, and notifications, right? So as opposed to TradingView, which has to send it to us, we receive it, then we process it, then we send it, you know. Um, so I already noticed with when I was testing the alert yesterday, it's immediate. So as soon as I pressed the button, right, it almost felt like it was before I pressed the button. That's how fast it was, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and then you see this button here, FlowStack NQ. It shoves you down to the FlowStack section, and you can see um, this is the certified backtest, very smooth. 9,000 P&L, sure, cool, points even, with a 67% win rate. And you can see if I zoom in, these are the types, but it's just going to fire them off consecutively, one after another, right? Um, and they're all doing well. They all survived out of sample and CI test, month to month, walk forward, max drawdown, 68, it's good. Because these are, can you imagine? It's like, it's a lot of the signals are being generated by um, like big players' intention, right, on the books, right? I'm using uh, MBO and MB1 data from, um, well, I pulled it from Data Bento, and I'm collecting it with Rhythmic as we go. That's all hooked in, right? And so from here, it's just observation, yeah. Um, how it how it looks similar to this, yeah. Um, but yeah, the data isn't cheap. I'm like, it's uh, yeah, like because I I bought a load for NQ all the way back to February, which was probably like $300, and then but I collected a load for GC and ES, yeah. ES because I wanted to see if there was some sort of like um, like opposite or joining delayed processes, you know? Like think about like SMT kind of thing or like Six Sister if you're like an ICT guy. I was trying to see if one could lead and if we could track that, but there's not actually any consistent edge in that at all, right? So you've heard it from me, at least not with order flow, right? So, and by order flow, I mean like volume and trade data. Um, yeah, anyway, so it's nice, steady 2,300 points, 2,200 points, 2,700 points. It's good, right? And we just started the month. Yeah, and so we're going to watch this fill up. Yeah. And then trade history, it's I think it would be related to what we have here. So gap 10 min. Yeah, you see it filters. But it's currently only showing GC. What I wanted to show you actually is on here, right? On here, when we get NQ trades, the GC trades will be on the left and the NQ trades will be on the right. So it'll be easier to keep track, right? Because we don't have any NQ trades qualified yet, we can't see how it would look, but that will populate, right? Um, yeah, and so this is settings page. It's more, and by the way, any suggestions, I'm open to them as usual. But you got you up there. Um, Not sure why it doesn't show the Discord ID. It used to, but it's not really relevant. I need to update the email, the Daily Digest email too, so it's capturing this stuff. Um, and then if you want to send to your webhook to trigger orders, sure. This section much cleaner now. It's just the two engines, so gold, right? I want push Discord notifications, webhook forwarding, right? And gap 10 min makes sense to me. Um, I think these just persist. I don't think you need to save it now. I'll double check though. Um, yeah, and then NASDAQ FlowStack, uh, in-app notifications, Discord notification, sure. Okay, that's combined. Webhook forwarding, cool. And no OTT because you don't need it. And then just showing what the stack is. Yeah, trade counts, decent amount of trades as well, right? I was only going to do these three, but then I'm like, wait, what about gaps, right? Filled gaps, as Sandy often talks about, you know? And so, yeah, I went down that road and it was useful when combined with our other stuff. Timax, uh, you you can enable Timax just for GC, not relevant for the other stuff. It's all right. I'd just be taking the signals semi-discretionarily, for the moment, because until I do the GC like makeover, then GC is cool, makes you money, but you're gonna have periods where you're better off looking at the chart and deciding whether you want to take the signals based, like the signals app was always designed not for full automation, if you remember, right? That's ATM lab, right? Signals app was designed to just give us the signals so we don't have to set them up in TradingView, if you remember. So that is what it is. Can it be better than that? Yeah, that's what I'm working on. But it was never my promise to create a evil signals app to do that. I just wanted to make it so, because I'd get so many questions of people going, I don't know if I set up my alerts properly in TradingView, because there's so many alerts you have to set up, right? And so that was the solution, right? but now we're at a point where it could just be something people could hook up to automate, but they'd have to create their own executor, right? So ATM solves that problem, um, but at a price, of course, because it's a big challenge to do that. Mainly because of the different ways in which um, have their endpoints set up for the API is challenging, um, actually. And then how do you execute to keep with their terms of service is a big one. So we're lucky in that way because I noticed across two different people's accounts, you get different fills and different exits with the ATM lab. So because it's operating in your browser, so we will be fine. We'll be fine. But yeah, that's that. Let's see what people are saying. Um, GC stats in performance. I knew you'd ask that. Since when? Well, it's probably since because that date isn't on there. It was in the last version, of course, but it's cleaned it up a lot. Um, since the beginning of time, yeah. Because look, 3,395 resolved trades. Yeah, that's since mid-February or something, February 12th, I think. Yeah. So right now, signals are not even automatable because of drawdown. So, well, it depends. It depends when. It depends when you start trading, of course. And it's a steady uprise, but how big is your account? You and it comes down to your executor. Like, how does your executor manage trades? Because one person could have an executor that makes these signals consistently profitable for them. But if your executor fucks up or doesn't cap downside or doesn't have some sort of, I guess, gate or parameters to stop your account from getting into red, that's a big, I guess, variable, right? And that's something I noticed with ATM Lab, right? The way your executor manages trades is a big part of whether it can be profitable or not, right? So if you have like a uh, very solid trail mechanism, yeah, then that can be the reason why your account stays green because it's capping it where it goes down before it goes down too much. And even if it stops you out with a trail just above your entry, right, on your long, uh, and then it explodes up, it's like it's not even a loss. It's like you can't be sad about that. And then when price does explode and you have a momentum based trail system, it will monopolize, it will take advantage of those moves, those big explosive moves. And I've seen that time and time again. Whenever I've posted like with the bot making $1,000 in a day, right? It's because it was able to capitalize on those moves and it just survives until then, right? So you can have a losing trade on GC on the books with static stop and targets, right? That's how someone would read it, right? Target here, stop here. Okay, I'll leave that. But if you're a bot that's trying to protect itself, uh, if price moves up and then it slows down and then it pulls back, you want to be stopped out because you don't know how far it's going to go back, right? So that is the beauty of having a trail system that works great. Can you be the trail as a manual trader? Yeah. Can you be that guy? No, because you're attached to the money and you can't move your finger fast. And there's so many things that are delaying you from just acting as if you're a mechanical like trail that a bot would perform. Yeah. And so it's quite interesting watching those trails occur when you tune them correctly, because you're like, damn, I'd still be in this trade. It stopped me out and kept going down. Yeah. Whereas this took you out the trade before it was a problem and then capitalized on the trade where it finally made its mind up and price exploded away, right? So, so anyway, invite to speak. What do you want to say, buddy? I can. How are you? Yeah. Mhm. With yeah, the OTT. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. It's like, look, are you only going to take the OTT gap 10-minute trades, right? Are you? But no, I mean, my point is, are you only going to take? This is just speaking, I guess, rhetorically, if you get me. Are you, as the trader trading the signals, only going to take the gap 10-minute trades, right? Or are you going to, let's say, like the agent, right? The agent will enter a trade, yeah, and if it's got high enough confidence, it'll add to the trade in the same direction, you see? And so it increases, like suddenly like 300 or 400 points, right? Becomes very easily 2,000 points, right? So you can't really compare the agent to this, like the way, like it's so static. Like dashboard gets a trade, you have a fixed target, fixed stop, right? There's no like at this percentile you got to move and start trailing, and like how do you even track trailing to a point where you can tell someone, hey, this is how my trailing system works, and this is the maths behind it, right? You can, but I'm not going to be going around doing that. But that's what the ATM's for. But look, suddenly, if you apply a signal, right? You have a signal as the core system that delivers when to enter and when to exit. Sure. But then when you apply an automated trading machine to that, so the strategy that manages trades, right? And then you apply on top of that another layer, which is confidence-based sizing, right? So let's say the agent's like, this is a trade I'll take, but it's lower confidence one. I'm going to use one contract. Then 15 minutes later, it gets another long position, same direction, and it's like, this is better because of all these things. I'm going to apply two, and suddenly you're in three micro contracts, let's say, right? And then at that point, your price moves up and it starts trailing, right? Then it captures, let's say price drops after that last push up, it captures something, right? Whereas if you had just stuck to the original signal with the static target and the static stop, meaning they don't move, they don't change, you would have lost money, right? So it's a huge difference because suddenly a lot of the trades that you would have lost because you're just sticking to the fixed principles of targets and stop, right? Suddenly when you apply like such a nuanced system of how the trade's being managed, right? Without you involved at all, by the way. So you can't even cut the trade, you're not going to do anything, you're going to leave it, right? Suddenly, a lot of those losses, suddenly 50% win rate becomes 60, 70% win rate, and the losses that you receive are most of the time going to be small, if not just above profit, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of, it's hard for me to answer like if you could take these signals, right? One trade at a time, gap 10 minute. Like, of course, you're not going to get as many trades as if you were to design your own system that takes every trade up until a point, right? Let's say it it takes, God, like um, two or three trades that come in a cluster, same direction, yeah, within 15 minutes, right? If you get three trades that happen within 15 minutes, and then you have a cap of, say, maximum 5 micros, which honestly, in this volatility, 5 micros on MGC. Yeah, so it's sort of this, it depends. Signals app was designed to present signals for people to decide whether they'll take it or not, you know. Unless you built your own system around it, and also, yeah, what's that? You wouldn't be able to, no, because it's relying on. Can you imagine like an AI that is taking into it's not binary. It's not something I can tell you the maths and you'll be able to do it because it's pulling our resources from all of the data that we've collected on our back end based off all of this volume data and all of this stuff and the machine learning that's built into that. Yeah, can you think of it like a person that has information how to trade, but they um, they don't have the capacity to give that information to someone else because it's just how they observe, right? It's not a binary process. It's deciding at the trade time based on microstructure whether it takes the trade or skips the trade, right? So let's say at the time of a trade coming through, you have um, a certain amount of volume that comes in, right? And also it's in the right regime, right? And it has the right amount of volatility, right? So all of these different, I mean, that's just a small part of it. They're like, it's like a tree of 48 different things it's deciding on. So I can't just be like, hey, this is how to manage the signals from stacks. This is what the agent's doing. Yeah. I literally told you, man. I said the Signals app was never designed to be automation. It was designed to represent the signals coming through from TradingView so people don't have to set the alerts. Yeah, but it just happened to be something where we want to filter them to some extent, right? Because you don't want uh, like 150 signals coming at you every day and not really knowing which one to choose. So you at least want some kind of filtering. And now, of course, we're at a point where like uh, this will be good. This could be good for automation, right? The NQ order flow stuff could be, and I'm looking to apply the same methodologies to GC as well, because why not, right? It means that we can have something that has a proven edge to some extent without the live walk, right? So we're waiting on that data. After 30 signals, as you can see here, after 30 signals, we'll have like a dramatic amount more confidence. If this line continues up the way that it's looking here, it's good for us. In a binary sense, yes, right? Like just taking the signal and leaving the stop where it is, leaving the target where it is, stop, and then look closing out full profit, you know. Um, this call's not really about the ATM lab. Like I am working on that. I actually have. I have one person hooked up to it at the moment, right? Um, because I want to see how it operates on someone else's account, right? It's very important, yeah. And because it relies very much on, look, if you're trading top step, yeah, you have to be executing the trades from your um, your browser, yeah. Otherwise, they'll ban you, right? And so that's very important. And so internet connection needs to be good, yeah. And so that is a big question mark for me, honestly, because I'm like, what if someone's internet connection is bad and then it's my fault, you know? But there's no way of me confirming that it's the internet connection. Oh, your app broke. I'm like, are you sure? Like, and how do I track that? The only way I can track it is by asking them to give me their browser console log. Like, okay, number one, are they technical enough to know what I mean by that? Number two, will they tell me the truth? So yeah. Can you try agent? No, no, I'm testing it still. Soon though, it'll be at a point where I can release it, but I'm not pushing it out fast. Like, you can't rush this stuff. It's automating. Someone logs in with their broker, it's executing trades for them, right? Zero management, yeah, from themselves. So no. And plus, this conversation was not about ATM Lab. It's about the Signals app update. Um, there will be a stream probably in the next week or so with where we're at with ATM Lab, but I prefer to keep it like one conversation about this, the next conversation about that. But yeah, you can't. I could hook you up tomorrow, but why would I do that? I haven't fully tested it with this guy that I'm testing it with. So, um, like, it works for me, but he was getting different triggers on his end, for example. And I'm like, why? And then we figured out why. Can you imagine if I released that like along with him to everyone? No, like that would be a catastrophe. So I can't be doing that. And so I hope you understand that it's not that I am gatekeeping or stopping the process. I just want to make sure it's working end to end. Yeah. Agent works, like it works, it's profitable, has been for the last 3 weeks. But whether it's executing the same trades on your account, that's what I'm trying to make sure happens. And there's some variables, right? Because internet connection is a big one. Have you got every single setting exactly the same as me? I confirmed that was the case. Um, Turns out I was the only one who had a backend server profile, so uh, the agent knew where my trades were at and where they were going, but it wasn't logging a backend profile for any other user because I hadn't got to that point, right? Like when we were testing before, we were testing totally different systems, right? Agent is a new thing relatively. So yeah, it's just making sure all of these things are being tracked so that if someone refreshes their browser, can you imagine, or their internet cuts out, when it connects back, it knows what trades are there. Yeah. Very important. Yeah, because you got the execution and then the trades that are actually connected to the original execution. Yeah. And so it's a lot of this stuff. It's easier with Top Step X, but when you're starting to deal with things like TradeOvate, um, they they have well, at least the way I'm doing it, they have a very different process. They're not just handing me the information, right? I have to track it and create my own. We have to create our own like codes related to orders and also that original code related to the original entry. needs to have, if it's for got a stop, trailing stop, and targets and whatnot, it needs to have codes attached to those orders. Yeah, and so it's a process, but we've done it. Just I can't give it to you tomorrow because that would be pretty thoughtless, just pretty careless. Anyway, so that's that. And so the next few days or so, we will start getting NQ FlowStack signals, and you can see how they're performing. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just one is like one target, TP1. That's it. And stop. I think it's like two to one, right? 20-point stop, 40-point target. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can call it now. No one likes a long ass video. But yeah, good progress. And honestly, if and when, well, when we confirm that the flow stacks is working well, right, for NQ, could be a very big win for us in lots of ways because that could easily become a very fast signal type to execute on, right? So it's not all in vain. It's like this work, this research, and this live walk of the signals for FlowStack's NQ will actually benefit the ATM lab too. Yeah. So like I see the bigger picture. Like I can see where this is going and why it was relevant, why I spent 4 days working on this. Um, yeah, because it also means a lot to the ATM lab too, right? Um, plus, this is a lot more binary. It's not based on FlowStack's NQ is not based on some kind of complex trade management process like stop to break even, trail after TP1, and then TP2, whatever. It's like the most simple trading approach to managing your trades, right? We all know that. But it's not even based on that. It's just a simple TP1 or stop. Yeah. Um, so yeah, it could be easily automated, even by people using Signals app. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean it's been fun. I'm enjoying it. That's the main thing. And honestly, I said this to William 6 months ago. If someone said that I'd built a an order flow based Python built um, like microstructure tick based NASDAQ trading signal system, I'd be like, no, I wouldn't have done that, you know. But here we are, and it's like looking very promising. So yeah, I'm excited. And so when someone asked me about the ATM lab, what's that agent, right? But can you imagine if the agent can make some sense out of the stack signals, what it can do with something that's already got an edge in a very static way? Like it's just TP1 and stop fixed. Yeah. Uh, yeah, so I'm excited by that. Um, no, guy who Jay gave access to. What? It all started with a day off. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just gonna be honest. No days off for until ATM Lab is shipped. If I'm honest, I'm gonna go to the cinema tomorrow though, because I want to see that Backrooms film.